Hey, my name is Khalil Al-Mansoub. I'm a Phi Theta Kappa officer at Jefferson State Community College. So for our Honor in Action project, we put together 2 plays to celebrate the 100th anniversary of women gaining the right to vote. Yes, in this year, 2020. So women fought really hard to get the right to vote, and we all must continue to fight for the right to vote. And enjoy the show!
I'm John Merrill. As your 53rd Secretary of State, I want to commend you for the great work that's going on at Jeff State Community College. Your efforts to make sure that each and every student on your campus and all those that are enrolled in part-time programs are registered to vote is so very important. We want you to join the 1,662,426 voters that have registered since I became your Secretary of State. January the 19th, 2015. Because of the commitment that you've made to be involved and to make a positive difference, Election Day and lines will continue to be very successful. I can't wait to see these programs in person, but I want to thank you for the great work you're doing to improve Jeff State, Jefferson County, and the great state of Alabama.
Well, I suppose I'll glance at my paper until Mr. Gardner comes down. The usual sensational headings. Typhoid epidemic. Awful! Fortunately, it's not in our part of town. Another protest? I never read about those silly squabbles. They have nothing to do with decent people. Demand for better public schools? That doesn't interest me. We've always been able to send the children to private schools. Suffragists hope for victory at the polls today. Well, that certainly would be disappointed after the eloquent speeches made by the anti-suffragist leaders last week. The yellow peril will be soundly trampled underfoot.
Good morning, Mother.
Oh, good morning, Rick, dear.
What is the yellow peril? I've heard the kids at school talk about it, but I still haven't quite figured out what it is. Sounds like jaundice.
Oh, no, but it's just as nasty. Progressive women wear yellow roses as a symbol of their insistence on gaining the right to vote. Preposterous. Gus cut down all of our yellow rose bushes and replaced them with red roses. Your father will wear a red rose today when he goes to vote, as will every other man with a whit of intelligence. Trust me, dear, when you marry, do not marry a progressive woman, or you may have to cook your own meals and darn your own socks.
Well, that's a woman's job, and I don't think I look very dashing in an apron. Votes for women. Oh, Mother, one of my progressive teachers wore a pin with that on it the other day, and I asked her why she didn't have one with votes for monkeys, too. The other boys thought me very funny.
Oh, an excellent question, Rick. How did she like that?
Well, she told me it was my turn to clean the chalkboard. But honestly, Mother, don't you wish that you could vote today?
Of course not. I am quite willing to put all my political burdens upon my husband's shoulders. He knows what's best for his family and for me. Indeed, I have no mind for politics and fear I would vote based on my emotions, which I'm told could be quite dangerous. Women feel so deeply and powerfully. We probably make decisions from the heart rather than a detached, cool mind.
Good morning, Mother.
Good morning, Dorothy. Rick, my dear.
Oh, I was just saying, my dear, that I am so glad to lay all my political burdens upon your strong shoulders. You have always taken such wonderful care of us, and I see no reason for that to change. I am perfectly content to trust you to make more important decisions, including how to best utilize the fortune my father left me before you and I were married.
Very thoughtful of you, my love. May I have my coffee right away? I have just time to catch my train for the country club.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
It's fortunate that we have such fine weather for the election day, isn't it, Father? They say it makes such a difference in turnout. Rain and cold deterred so many from leaving the comfort of their own homes.
Yes, indeed. The course will be crowded, which is why I need to hurry for an early tee-off.
I was thinking of the voting polls. This is a very important election, and you will have to bear my political burdens too, Father, since women are unable to represent themselves.
When I'm old enough to vote, I'll bear my own burdens and my wife's. You won't have to worry about me, Dad. Girls haven't enough sense to be trusted to vote. But some of them sure are pretty. Well, I best be off.
Oh. Then you won't vote until this late afternoon, I suppose?
Well, the country club committee is going to stay late to dine as there are some highly important matters to discuss, and since I'm the chair, I shall not be back in town until this evening. I'm afraid there won't be time for me to vote. I'll do it next time, though.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, dear. I did hope you would vote against that detestable woman's suffrage amendment. It's preposterous when voting as though they were equal in intellect and ability with men.
I think I wanted you to vote in favor of it, Father. I would love to be able to vote in the next election.
Dorothy, I'm surprised by you. I thought we raised you to be an intelligent young woman.
And you did. I would just like a chance to prove that you succeeded someday.
I wish that you women would attend to your own business, and I refuse to have the burden of the vote thrust upon me against my will. If I wanted to vote, I would. But I must go play golf now. The fellows are probably wondering where I am. Goodbye, Jean. Don't wait up for me, dear.
Now who will represent us at the polls, Mother? Father's off playing golf, and Rick's not even old enough yet. Are we going to be left unheard? Still and always?
Tom would represent you if you would only accept his proposal. I don't know why you continue to keep him waiting. He's a fine young man from a respectable family with a good head on his shoulders. As for me, I must use indirect influence somehow. Watch and learn, my dear. Oh, Augustus! Gus, come here, please.
Good day, ma'am. Good day, miss. Please excuse my appearance, ma'am. I was just scrubbing down the steps like you told me.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just relieved it's finally getting done. It was such an embarrassment when we hosted that dinner party a few weeks ago. Moving on, you know what today is, don't you? It's election day, Gus. Have you ever voted yet?
No, ma'am, I haven't. Just as soon as I load up the coal and water those pretty red roses, I'm heading to the polls.
Fine, I'm not concerned with which candidate you align, but do you understand about this proposed suffrage amendment? Do you understand? What do you think about it?
Yes, ma'am, I know a bit about it, but that amendment is just for white women, so it won't do my wife no good even if it does pass. But I do have some feelings about it. You see, my daddy told me how good it felt when President Lincoln told black men that we might get the vote one day, just the same as other men. And it does make you feel somehow fine to be treated like people and have the same rights that they do. you feel a little more, well, respectable. I'm sure you ladies would feel that way too, ma'am.
Gus, you are talking nonsense. Nothing could possibly make me feel more respectable than I already do. Well, I wish you to vote against that amendment. It's a danger to the country and the family institution. Do as I wish, or I will have to dismiss you on moral grounds. I refuse to allow progressives to pollute my home with their progressive thoughts. That sort of thinking is outlandish and just plain dangerous.
Excuse me, ma'am. I didn't know you ladies having a say-so was so dangerous. I just thought you'd like to feel like other people do and, getting to make decisions for yourself and whatnot.
I have plenty of decisions to make regarding the care of this home and our family. I certainly don't want to have to make any more of them. Now get yourself to the polls and vote against that amendment this instant.
Yes, ma'am. Hopefully they let me in this time, but just as you say, ma'am, just as you say.
Now you see the power of indirect influence.
Yes, Mother, your powers of subtle persuasion are astonishing. Well, I need to get ready to go out. I wanted to take some books to the hospital.
Oh, no, dear. You can't go over there in that part of town on election day. When I was a girl, ladies never went out on election day. There were always so many drunk men on the street. That part of town just isn't safe for women.
But I promised to leave books today, Mother. The children's ward's counting on me.
Oh, well, I'll tell Katie to turn them over this evening when she has finished her work.
But Mother, Katie's a lady too, and surely the streets will be more dangerous as the day wears on.
If Katie behaves herself properly, she will be perfectly fine. What are the police for after all? She should just cut across the road when need be and avoid eye contact with any ill-behaved men. Darling, I wish that you had heard my anti-suffrage speech. I delivered it at my book club yesterday. I doubt you would still believe as you do. I flatter myself that some of the phrases were very impactful. In one place, I said, "Why bring the sewer of American politics into the sanctity of the home?"
What does that mean, Mother? Is that an argument?
No, my child, women have no arguments, but we know that we are right. Women have such a wonderful intuition about right and wrong.
Don't you think that intuition would be very helpful in politics?
Who ever heard of intuition in a sewer?
Mother, it just doesn't make sense.
You are far too inquisitive, Dorothy. You must have formed that habit at college. I told your father sending you to the university was a mistake, but he thought your future husband might like an educated wife to converse intelligently with dinner guests. Poor Tom.
Who says I'm gonna marry Tom? I'm sorry, Mother. Tell me more about your meeting. Were there many people of note there?
Well, both speakers were very distinguished men, both highly regarded in their fields. One of them said that the women of the Orient are the ones who have the real influence because they are truly feminine, something we should all strive for. I never thought about that. The other gentleman told us wonderful truths. He said that no woman is ever born a suffragist.
And no man is ever born a racist either, but...
Oh, he was very clever. He said, too, that we should gain suffrage for women. The country would relapse into barbarism. Can't you imagine?
Surely he was joking.
Not at all. He was the most serious, and he made us feel very anxious. I wish that your Aunt Madeline could have heard him.
Aunt Madeline is absolutely an exception, for it is certain that she was born suffragist. I believe she's my favorite aunt.
Good morning. I hope it isn't too early for an unannounced visitor.
Never! How are you today, sister? I was afraid that you would be too busy to drop in this morning. Would you like coffee or tea?
Goodness, no. I awoke before sunrise and have no need for energizing liquids on a day like today. I have a short break between my shifts as watcher of the polls, so I thought I'd pop in for a moment to chat before returning. Everything seems to be going splendidly, though.
You suffragists have such jealous energy. I still feel quite exhausted after my speech yesterday.
And I don't wonder why, dear, after what I've heard of it. From what I was told, you exerted yourself mightily in the defense of the home.
How can one give one's strength better than in defending the sacred traditions of home? If you suffragists got what you wanted, you would probably insist upon your right to become lawyers and doctors. Then who would take care of the home and the children?
Women's enfranchisement will soon be a sacred tradition of the home for future generations. And, by the by, you pay others to take care of your home and family.
Madeline, I admit that you and I might use enfranchisement well, but what would it mean to enfranchise an ignorant woman like Katie Connor, our washerwoman, for instance? Watch this. Oh, Katie, can you come here for a moment, please?
Oh, good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Miss Dorothy. Good morning, Miss Carter. May I speak a word about the stove, the laundry stove, please? Ever since the stove man put it in perfect order, I can do nothing at all with it.
I'm sorry, Katie, but I don't think we could get anyone to look at it today on account it's being election day, you know.
I suppose that's the case, ma'am. The men act as though it takes them all day to vote. Anything for a holiday, I'm thinking. Well, I'll just have to use the washboard as my mother did.
Indeed, Katie, when you came in, Miss Carter and I were talking about women's suffrage. You know what that means, I suppose.
Yes, ma'am. I often hear my girls speak of it.
Of course. You would take no interest in enfranchisement. You have, I suppose, no education?
Awful little, ma'am. My mother, God rest her soul, was always saying that I had no need of education as I had good sense and a good face. Well, at least I still have sense, if you believe my mother's doting words.
I see. You acknowledge then that you are illiterate. I suppose you've never heard of the tariff, for instance?
Oh, indeed I have, ma'am. That's what they tell you about when you go to the store and they ask a fancy price for the goods. Sure, somebody ought to keep an eye on that, for it's cruel hard on the poor when it gets to going up so.
And of course, you have no ideas all about finance. That means, banking and money and that sort of thing.
Oh, the Sevens Bank, you're meaning. Well, all a woman like me knows is to put a little money away whenever she can and hope it don't bust up on you.
Then you have ever heard of civil service reform?
Civil servants reform, is it? Well, I'm thinking it'd be best to reform those that ain't civil. Some of these cooks are downright rude.
You see, Madeline, she does not even know the meaning of these important issues.
Well, I'd better go back to my wash tubs and not be showing my ignorance to you fine ladies.
Wait, Katie, if you did have the vote, is there anything you would care to have a word on? Anything that especially concerns you and your neighbors, the other women, I mean.
That concerns us women. Well, I think we're all the same, rich and poor, you and me. I think we're all alike in what lies nearest to our hearts. We want to keep our husbands working steady and have decent food that don't cost too dear and give our children a better chance than we had ourselves.
Your own husband has passed, has he not?
That is not, ma'am. He's just across the river in the next state, enjoying himself nightly. He left me when my baby was but a week old, and there were already 3 other girls to take care of.
Goodness! Well, that's a crime. Why didn't you have him arrested and brought back?
I tried. I said to the officer, John Kelly, he's the officer on our block, I says, it's an arm of the law that you call yourself John Kelly. Can't you stretch it across the line and fetch my husband back? For it's near starving his children are.
What did he say to you, Katie?
He said, I'm sorry for y'all, Mrs. Connor. Indeed I am. But the law can't fetch your husband back. for it's just a misdemeanor his leaving you.
What did you say to him?
What's the law for, John Kelly, I said, if it's not to protect the helpless and the innocent and to keep them from being a public burden? You don't understand these things, he says. Go home and mind your baby. The baby's dead, I said. They do die most times where their mother is starving. And I work my fingers to my bone trying to keep the other 3 alive while their father's just a few miles away, earning good money and spending it to get some other poor girl in trouble.
Oh, you poor woman. How on earth do you manage to get along?
Well, I got washing and cleaning to do. And you don't have to have much money when there's no man around to feed. And then when my Annie got old enough, she went into the mill and helped to feed the others. She's a good girl, though a bit delicate. She used to have the most beautiful hands. But then again, so did I at one time.
Well, my husband said it's only the lazy poor that get on.
Maybe. But I think there's such a thing as the young working too hard. Many a night my Annie comes home crying with her poor back and her sore feet after 12 hours rushing to meet the boss's demands. What with the small pay, but it's more than laziness that keeps us from getting rich. Many a young girl has spent the night on my kitchen floor when there's no other place for her to go but the street, and you know what that means.
I've been told that an honest, industrious girl could always find work.
Maybe so, ma'am. But without trying to offend, imagine feeding 3 mouths on what you pay me. You may be thankful that your own daughter is safe at home with her crochet and her books, not out in the cold with a betrayed heart, looking for a job and some devil following her up.
Really, Katie? You must not use such language.
Excuse me, ma'am, but you asked. Not only must we women figure out how to provide for ourselves and our young, but we must defend ourselves against those men who would force their desires upon us. I see I've said too much. I'll go back to my wash now.
Katie, I believe that if we women get the vote, that you and your neighbors can help us to understand your troubles and improve conditions for all women and children.
I'm ignorant, indeed, as Miss Gardner has a right to be saying. But as for knowing about husbands that beat you and leave you, and boys that get led away to the saloons and gambling places, and the tenements where the babies die like flowers without water, and the young girls that go to the bad because they're cold and they're hungry, they got no other choice. Well, I understand that as you understand a tea party setting. I'd be ignorant indeed if I didn't when I live in the middle of it. My girls aren't ignorant like me. My Maggie's in school, she is, and she's going all the way through if I have to work till I drop to keep her there. She's gonna have the chance that I never did. Good morning, ma'am. Miss.
Well, heavens, the illiterate woman isn't such a dullard as you anti-suffragists paint her to be.
Katie truly has an unusual intelligence for a woman in her position, and she's an excellent laundress. I don't know whether I approve of her sending her youngest girl to school. Better go out into service. Still, one must help the poor. Dorothy, you might send your girls that blue hat of yours that is so hideously unbecoming, and your coat that the moths got into last summer.
Mother, I think I'd rather send them something really pretty and new, perhaps a new dress for each of them.
That's very generous of you, darling, but you better send those other items off too, or I'd be glad to get them out of the house.
Oh, goodness, look at the time. I must resume my post as watcher of the polls. Goodbye, sister. Goodbye, Dorothy.
I wish I could go with you, Aunt Madeline. I really am a suffragist at heart, and I would be delighted to spend a few hours with so many women with opinions similar to mine.
Dorothy, you astonish me. You know how conservative Tom Randolph is. If you mix yourself up in this unfeminine movement, his affections will surely shift to another young woman.
Then let them shift. I haven't promised to marry him, and I never will marry any man who looks upon a wedding ring as a muzzle.
Now you see, Madeline, what your example has done. Tom Randolph is the most desirable young man in our set.
It would appear not everyone agrees with you, sister dear.
I believe I heard my name. I hope I'm not interrupting. Good morning, Miss Gardner. Good morning, Miss Carter. Good morning, Dorothy. Awfully early for a visit, I'm afraid. I suppose you're all fearfully busy with housekeeping and all that.
Oh, no, not at all. We're always delighted to see you, Tom. Do tell us the news from the great masculine world.
Well, really, it's rather early in the day for news, but I've just come from the polls and it was rather jolly there. An awfully pretty girl gave me one of these.
How exceedingly forward of her. It was very kind of you to take them, I'm sure.
Oh, really, Miss Gardner? She wasn't really forward at all. She had the manners of a princess, though. She handed this to me like a cotillion favor and just said, "Thanks awfully." And then she said, "Put it on, please, and vote for the suffrage amendment." So I did.
Oh, I'm so glad, Tom.
But you've always talked against women's suffrage, Tom. How could this girl sway you so effectively?
Oh, I just repeat what my father says, Miss Gardner. My father rants against suffrage so much that I never really thought about it, actually. I honestly just thought I wouldn't want my wife to talk politics to me because I'm always been rather stupid about them, and I wouldn't want my wife to know just how much of a fool I am. But you probably find that out anyway.
Oh, you are too modest, Tom. Let me thank you for your support of women and our right to think and vote.
Not at all, Miss Carter. Don't mention it. Always a pleasure to do anything for you. Besides, I was jolly glad to be on the other side from the crew that I've been working with against that amendment. I've never seen a meaner lot in my life. While I was waiting for my turn, I saw Smith, the chap who owns the most notorious pub in town, talking to that fellow Taylor. It was all, "We're the men," and "My wife better mind her own business." And then there was Jones that fights against child labor reform. Can you imagine? Anyway, they weren't wearing any yellow roses, and I was rather proud of mine when I saw how those fellows glared at it. I have no wish to be accepted by their kind.
But the sanctity of family, Tom. Don't you want to raise your children in a wholesome home with you as its champion and your wife as sentimental?
Well, I guess that the home's all right with the right woman in it. Perhaps next year I'll go to the polls with my wife. Now, wouldn't that be jolly? What do you think, Dorothy?
I think that might be nice.
Yes, I hope next year the polls will look like Noah's Ark, with couples filing in two at a time. And how will you feel then, Jean?
We shan't tease you, Mother. If it happens, we'll just slip out quietly and vote, not to bother you about it.
Not bother me about it? Do you suppose that if you two vote, I shall stay home darning my husband's socks? I think that I know what I want as well as anyone. And if I can't get it any other way, I'll just go and vote for it myself.
And I look forward to next election day. Perhaps I shall escort two lovely ladies to the polls. Perhaps we'll even clink glasses after at the local pub.
Oh, alcohol? Now that's something I cast a vote against.
I hope you will, Mother. I hope you will.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for coming out to vote today. May I have your name, please?
It's Karen Carter.
I'm sorry. I couldn't quite hear you.
Karen Carter.
I'm sorry. I still can't. I'm having some.
Look, I'll just show you my ID, okay?
Oh, okay. Well, I needed to see that anyway. You know, it's crazy. My younger brother has epilepsy and can't get a driver's license. My mom finally got him a state-issued ID just so he could vote in this election.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I've always counted myself fortunate to not have disabled children, but to be the mother of two normal children.
Well, I wouldn't exactly call epilepsy a disability. He just has the occasional seizure. But his medication works really well, and he hasn't had one in a really long time. He's actually just got a few more months until he's eligible to drive again. Oh, I know you. You're Congressman Richard Carter's wife.
I know who my husband is. More importantly, so does everybody else in this town. And I don't want him hearing about this.
About what?
This.
You don't want your husband, a politician, to know that you're voting? I'm sorry, but that just sounds a bit odd.
Oh, you wouldn't understand. It's not that I'm voting. I've had that right for 100 years. I don't want him to know who I'm voting for.
Well, your vote is private, Miss Carter. No one will know who you voted for.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. You have my name in your little gadget right there. You have my personal information and my ID. The whole thing will be uploaded to a cloud somewhere. And my husband is a powerful man who can get someone to look up information whenever he wants to. Of course he's going to know. He always knows when I've done something wrong.
I'm sorry, how is voting wrong? And that's not how this works at all.
You're so sweet. It must be freeing to be so naive. Because my candidate is not his candidate. And if he finds out I'm voting against his golf buddy, he's going to take it personally.
Isn't it okay for people to disagree, though? I mean, I'm a vegetarian and my brother's favorite food is a bloody steak, but we still get along. We just have different beliefs, both with logical arguments.
I don't think your Golden Corral preferences are on quite the same level.
Well, vegetarianism is usually an ethical choice, just like selecting a candidate is. My brother just believes differently than I do, and I have to respect that, even if I don't agree.
Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing you're not married?
Not anymore. No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. One day you might understand then. Now, look, I love my husband. He's a wonderful, honest man. He works 80 hours a week, does everything in his power to keep our family safe and happy and comfortable. But sometimes he can be a little narrow-minded, you know? And I'd rather stay safe and comfortable than be on his bad side. Voting against his politics is crossing a big line, one that he drew a long time ago when he first became a politician. Oh, sometimes I miss the early days of our marriage when we were broke. And we didn't fuss over little silly things like politics. Every dinner out or even the smallest of gifts was a treasure. Oh, these times are precious, my dear. Every single moment. Every struggle is passion. You're going to miss that.
Well, I'm not broke. I mean, my bank account gets a little low sometimes, but I have a job and I pay my bills.
Oh, bills. I don't want to talk about bills. All my husband ever talks about is this bill and then that bill and bills.
Yeah, I don't think we're talking about the same thing. Well, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I just check you in and answer your questions.
Okay. Thank you. My only question is, how long do I have to wait? I tried to get here early to, beat the crowds.
Yeah, that's pretty much everybody's plan. Hey, but the good news is the line's not too bad compared to other years. You're probably looking at maybe about half an hour, 45 minutes, no more than an hour.
Really? That seems excessive. I mean, it only takes a few brief moments to vote.
Oh, yeah, but I'm telling you, I've seen way longer lines. I've worked the polls for almost every local, state, and national election since I was 18, and this one is relatively short. I've seen lines as long as 3 hours.
Goodness, I don't know anyone with that kind of free time.
No, me either. But you can see that long lines aren't much of an issue this year, probably because so many people are submitting mail-in ballots.
Tell me a secret. Are those things actually counted, or do they just make people feel like they voted when really they're filed away?
Don't believe everything that pops up on your Twitter newsfeed. Absentee and mail-in ballots are absolutely legit. They get counted. People just need to make sure that they get them in on time. Mail-in ballots are also a great way to ensure that everyone's able to vote.
Everybody over 18 is already able to vote.
Well, that's debatable. I mean that mail-in ballots provide greater voter access. There are people who are elderly, disabled, live in remote areas, or don't have access to transportation. Getting to the polls can be kind of a challenge for them, and mail-in ballots are a great alternative. Think about someone who lives in the middle of nowhere, and doesn't have a car or internet. How are they supposed to register, much less make it out on election day?
I suppose I hadn't thought of it that way. Well, if I'm going to have to wait in line, may I at least use your facilities? I should have known better than to have that third cup of coffee. Caffeine makes me tinkle.
I can ask the next person to hold your place. Most people around here are pretty nice and wouldn't mind.
Wonderful. Okay, I see where it is. I'll be right back.
All right. Hey, good morning. Thank you for coming out to vote today. May I have your name?
Vivian Wright with a W.
Okay. Vivian. All right, gotcha. Now may I see your ID? Got it. And you?
Oh, I'm Rose Amarello, Amarello.
Armarello. Gotcha. And ID?
Oh, crap. I left my ID in the dorm.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
What am I supposed to do?
Well, you can always go get it and come back.
But I can't. My dorm's an hour away.
But if you don't have time today, you can fill out a provisional ballot. You'll just have to come back within a few days with your ID, and you'll be fine. But your vote will be counted once you've been verified.
I mean, as long as it gets counted, I suppose.
I guess we were in such a hurry we forgot to make sure we had everything we needed.
And I blame you. My first presidential election and my first date. Who would think straight under those circumstances?
Oh, wow. So you two were on a first date? I thought I'd seen everything.
Yeah, we met last night at a Rock the Vote event on campus. Vivian gave an incredible speech, and I just had to introduce myself afterwards.
We stayed up all night talking, had a romantic breakfast.
Pancake Palace.
It was delicious. My orange juice has never tasted sweeter. And here we are now, voting together. The perfect end to a perfect first date.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to end.
I don't want it to, but I'm in dire need of sleep. And we have class in the morning. We already skipped today so that we can come here.
Wait a second. Your professors didn't cancel classes? I thought that was pretty much the standard these days.
Well, two of mine did. They're actually giving bonus points if we take a selfie wearing the I voted sticker.
And hey, that's great. Every little nudge helps. But cameras are prohibited inside polling stations, so you will have to wait till you get outside.
Oh, of course we will, but some of my instructors aren't so sympathetic. They think everyone gets 3-hour lunch breaks like they do.
Oh, come on. You know they work hard.
I'm not saying they don't. I know that they work nights and weekends. I just mean their schedules are more flexible. And I know lots of other students who go straight from class to work and who don't get a break at all during the day.
Well, employers are legally required to give breaks so that people can vote.
Sure, legally, but have you ever seen a restaurant waitress get a couple hours off? They either work their shift or they don't. I mean, most of the wait staff doesn't even get legally required breaks to eat, much less to vote.
You know, one day they'll finally make Election Day a national holiday. Classes will be canceled, offices will be closed, and nobody will have an excuse not to have their voice heard.
I mean, wouldn't that be nice?
Right? Okay, so this is my first election. Rose will get her special provisional ballot, but what do I need to do?
Well, you're all checked in, so now you just have to wait a bit. Then you'll just proceed to the next available machine, make your selections, and press the vote button. There are attendees standing right by if you have any questions about how to use the machines.
Sounds straightforward enough.
Oh yeah, it's super easy. You know, honestly, I think the reason that people avoid the polls is partially because they don't know what to expect. But, you know, we're here to help.
You've been great so far.
I try. Oh, there was a lady in front of you who ran to the restroom really quickly. Too much coffee. If you don't mind letting her back in, you'll just have to wait just a few minutes longer.
Sure. I mean, we've been up all night. I guess we can stand to wait a few more minutes.
10 more minutes I get to spend with you. Is that corny?
It's cute. Maybe a little corny, but still cute.
I mean, what can I say? You bring out my inner corny.
I'm back. Sir, the ladies' room is all out of hand sanitizer. Now, who do I need to speak with?
Mom? Mom, what are you doing here? What's with the get up?
Libby, honey, hi. I didn't even see you there. What are you doing out so early on a Tuesday morning? Don't you have class?
I'm here to vote. Our house is still my legal residency, so you and I have the same voting station. Honestly, I'm a little surprised to see you out here, though. I thought you didn't, well, you know, participated. At least I don't remember you participating when I was little.
Oh, well, you know, civic duty and all. And of course, there were years where I couldn't take you or your brother anywhere with a long wait. We practically had to get banned from the dentist for that little hoax that Matt played on the receptionist that one time.
Oh, I remember that. She had the bobbed haircut next time we went in. You know, maybe polling stations should provide childcare areas. You know, make it easier for the parents.
It certainly would have helped back then, but heck, since you two are all grown now, I'm back.
And I'm very happy to bump into you under the circumstances.
Honey, you haven't seen anyone that we know here, have you?
No, but I haven't really looked around.
Yeah.
Why are you so jumpy?
I'm not jumpy. I might have had a little bit too much coffee this morning. Might be a little jittery, but I'm not jumpy. I don't have a reason to be jumpy.
Hi there.
Oh, hi.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mom, this is my friend Rose. We go to school together.
Well, hello, Rose. Isn't that top just adorable, even if it is a little small? Huh. Well, where are you from, dear? I haven't seen you locally. You must have moved here for school.
I mean, isn't life funny? My family actually lives in the neighborhood next over from you guys. We've been right next to each other this entire time.
Huh. Well, what a pity we haven't met before. You and your family will have to come to our next dinner party. Vivian, you haven't talked to your father today, have you?
Mom, please don't call him that. Richard is a great stepdad, and I love him. He practically raised me, but my father died a long time ago.
I know, honey. I'm sorry. It's just a habit. Your brother calls him Dad sometimes.
Please just call him Richard.
Oh, I never call him by his name. But I'll try. Have you talked to Richard today?
I haven't. Is there a reason I should have?
No, I was just curious. Wasn't sure whether or not he planned on coming out today.
Well, I hope he plans to, even if it's just to vote for his buddy. He is a congressman after all, and it'd be pretty crappy of him not to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, why are you wearing those ridiculous sunglasses and that big floppy hat? You look like a 90s movie star hiding from the paparazzi.
Oh, well, thank you, honey. But you know how it is. You grow up here, everybody in town knows who you are, and you just want to run a quick errand and without having to speak to absolutely everybody who thinks that they're your best friend. Plus, you know how I love to get into costumes. Remember how I used to perform in plays when I was in college? Did I ever tell you about the time that I played that one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what about the time that I starred as...
Yes, you did.
Okay. Well, I suppose I'll just shut up then. I guess nobody wants to hear what I had to say today.
Well, your district does, and it's your turn now, Miss Carter. So just go ahead and step up to the machine, cast your vote, and you're done. You'll get your sticker on the way out, and thank you for voting today. You know, it's a right too many people take for granted, and we're happy to see you return to the polls.
Okay, well, here I go. I hope I don't goof it up. Vivi, I'm going to wait for you and your little friend outside so that we can say a proper goodbye, okay?
Okay, I'll see you outside in a bit.
I can't believe I just met your mom. This is one of the craziest first dates, isn't it?
Oh, Congressman Carter.
Shh. How did you know it was me? I'm incognito.
Oh yeah, I barely recognized you.
I need to check in and get out before other people recognize me.
Okay, gotcha. I'll just need your ID.
But you just called me out, you know who I am.
Yes, sir, but it's just protocol. You know, I actually believe that you voted to support voter ID laws.
I hate it when people remind me what I voted for.
You? All right. Yeah, you know, it's none of my business, sir, and feel free to, you know, not answer me, but why are you in such a rush?
Every time I come out to vote or do anything else that should be personal, people think it's okay to just walk up to me and tell me everything I'm doing wrong, along with every suggestion they have to make things better for them. It's as though because it's election day, people have finally spent a few minutes doing a tiny bit of research on the Google and actually have an opinion for once, and they love to tell me their opinions while I just want to be left alone and get back to work.
Yeah, I could see how that would get irritating, but isn't it also part of your job to listen to the people you represent, though?
Yes, absolutely. And I do. But I don't feel like I should be verbally accosted by my neighbors just because they know I'm going to be on my time off. I mean, I know the Harpers are going to be here today, but I'm not going to go up to Jim and tell him he needs to get their dog neutered. Even though he does. That isn't what today is all about.
I get it. You just want to get in and out of here quickly so people don't take advantage of the opportunity to corner you.
Exactly.
But of course, you're just a regular guy voting on his time off from work like everyone else. So you'll happily stand in line with all the other regular people who are just doing the same thing, right?
Of course. Although, my wife doesn't think I know she plans on voting today. She doesn't realize that we've both changed through the years. I used to be a little more insistent that she agree with me. Maybe I was a little too insistent. But I honestly don't care who she votes for now as long as she does it because she believes in what her candidate represents.
Yeah, exactly. That's what voting is all about.
But I don't know what time she plans on coming, so I'm using this get up to, blend in. I don't want her to see me and dart away without voting. I want her to feel free to exercise her rights, even if I disagree with her opinions.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. I think that's a great mindset.
Hey, Richard, I think you actually might be parked illegally. I was just on the phone with my office and I saw an officer drive by your car really slowly. You might want to move.
It'll be fine. I golf with the mayor.
And then there's that mindset, too. Massey, your ID, please.
Oh, crap. I mean, Jess?
Matt? Oh, crap. Matt, I haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah, not since you and Rachel split up.
Ooh, long time then. At least 4 years.
So, you two know each other?
Yeah, we used to hang out in high school. Then he married my friend Rachel. Remember her? She's the one that the cat used to pee on.
Oh, I remember that gal. Snickers hated her. I miss Snickers.
Yeah, me too. Anyways, so how are you? You look great.
Oh, thanks. I'm actually a chef now. But my restaurant gives me every election day off so I can work the polls. So I get paid a little here, so it all works out.
I hear you. So, how's Jack?
You remember his name? Well, he's great. We just had his 6th birthday party a couple weeks ago. He's in kindergarten now. Crazy how fast time flies by.
Do you ever see Rachel?
No, not really. She doesn't seem all that interested in Jack's life anymore. So, yeah, I think she's a bit embarrassed.
Why would she be embarrassed by her own son?
Well, my ex-wife is from a wealthy family. They always disapproved of me, but when Rachel got pregnant, they insisted that we do the right thing and get married. But they've always resented having a mixed grandson.
That's ridiculous. Jack was the cutest baby I've ever seen.
I agree, and he's still the cutest little guy.
I still don't get it. Why would they care?
Well, they don't anymore. Rachel got married to someone perfect for her, and they have a daughter and another baby on the way. So it's pretty much like Jack and I never happened.
I think you're better off. Rachel was a little mean, and especially to you.
Yeah, she could be a little harsh. I didn't know you saw that, though.
Of course I did. That's why I stopped hanging out with her.
Son, this is where I've got to disagree. A woman belongs with her family, and this fella probably wouldn't even be in the country if Rachel hadn't married him.
Ooh.
Dad.
What did I say?
All respect, sir. I'm American. I just have a better tan than you.
Oh, oops, I thought you were Mexican.
I picked up on that.
But I'm not racist. I tell you, I love Mexicans. They work really, really hard. In fact, my favorite restaurant is Rex-Mex down on Cogswell Avenue. I mean, it is just fantastic. The chips, the salsa, get it with the little white queso. What is it you say? Queso blanco, something like
Richard.
that?
Dad.
I just mean you deserve all the same rights as every other citizen. Just because your people cross the border illegally doesn't mean that, you should be treated...
Dad.
It's okay. I mean, I'm okay. And by the way, sir, my grandparents were Black and Cuban. So both of my parents were born here, as were my brother and I. So, yeah, 100% American.
Well, oops on me. Sorry about that.
It's seriously okay. Ms. Wright? Ms. Wright, it's your turn. So you can proceed to the next available booth. Miss Armorello, you can head over to the provisional voting station now.
Vivi, well, what are the odds?
Oh, hi, Richard. Odds are actually pretty good since we're registered to vote at the same place on the same day. But I guess it is still kind of coincidental timing. Hey, Matt. So you guys having a Father-Son Day?
Sort of. My car is in the shop and the public transportation doesn't come all the way out here, so Dad just picked me up.
Well, that was nice of you, Richard.
I'm a nice guy.
Richard, what's up with the t-shirt and sunglasses? You haven't left the house without a tie since like the 1990s. You and Mom are getting weird in your old age.
I'll have you know, young lady, that this shirt is vintage, which, as I understand it, means it's hip. And your mother has always been a little weird. It's one of my favorite things about her. But you haven't visited home in weeks, so how do you know whether or not your mother is getting weirder?
You're right. I wouldn't. I mean, I haven't seen her recently, so...
Well, if you would come home more often, you'd get to see us.
I tried.
Hey, look at that. 2 booths have just opened. Congressman Carter?
Mr. is fine.
Okay. Mr. Carter and Miss Wright. You're both free to cast your votes now.
Grassy ass. I'll see you outside, son.
See you in a minute, Rich. Really sorry about that. He's not a bad guy, and he really isn't racist. He just hasn't figured out that you can't talk the way people did 30 years ago that people were being very offensive without even realizing it.
Hey, it's okay. You know, I deal with the public and their stereotypes all day long. I mean, I'm a Mexican chef at a fine dining restaurant. I'm used to people thinking that they're being perfectly polite when they're absolutely, completely ignorant. But I didn't just call your dad ignorant.
It's okay. He is sometimes. So am I. I know my turn is coming up soon and you're really busy, but
Yeah?
I'd love to see Jack. It's been a long time and I know he's grown up a ton, so
Ah, you'd like to see Jack, would you?
I just like to spend a little time with him, catch up.
You want to catch up with my 6-year-old son? Okay, well, we usually go to Papa's Pizza Porch on Wednesday nights. We'll probably be there around 6 tomorrow if you happen to be there at the same time.
Well, I do love pizza, so.
I remember. Matt, you have to think about what bringing Jack into your life might affect. You know, your dad's a politician who hasn't always been super supportive of the obstacles that Jack and I face. It's something to think about.
I know, but maybe getting to know Jack will help Richard see what life can be like for others.
Okay. Well, for now, just think about what you want to eat. One-topping pizzas are only $8 on Wednesday nights, so they have an all-you-can-eat salad bar too. It's your turn, by the way.
So soon, huh? Hey, is that my mom?
Yeah, but I think she's trying to hide from your dad. She doesn't want him to know that she was here, so maybe don't call her out.
This is so stupid. They're both in the support of the same thing, voting for what you believe in. If they would just talk to each other, maybe they would know that, but it's kind of fun to see them all dressed so goofy. Those sunglasses.
Hey, I think they look awesome.
Okay, well, I really don't want to hold up the line, so I'll see you tomorrow night, I guess.
You know where I'll be.
Karen? How are you? I almost didn't recognize you.
Oh, Sharon, hi.
Where's Richard? I was just having lunch on the patio next door and remember today was election day. I thought I might bump into him and do a little loitering.
I'm not sure. I mean, I know he plans on voting sometime today, but he has to work too.
Of course, he's busy.
Okay, so you're not here to vote then?
Oh, no, I live on the other side of town now. I can't vote here. And where I live, my vote wouldn't even count anyway.
Well, I'm sorry. That's too bad. Well, so how's Robert doing? You two still in that honeymoon phase?
Oh, honey, we've been married 3 years now. I think we've had time to settle into our marriage. How are the kids? I mean, I haven't seen Vivian in ages.
Oh, they're both so great. Matt's in sales and Vivian's about to finish college. She's inside right now.
Well, I'll stick around. I would love to say hello.
Hi again, Miss Carter. Well, that's my first selection in the books, and many more to come. I'll be sure to remember my ID next time, so I don't have to do that provisional ballot thing.
Hi there, Rose. Look, voting was so much easier than I thought it would be. I suppose I remember it being more complicated back in the day, but it was kind of actually almost fun. Click, 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 vote. Is Vivi behind you?
Oh, yeah, she had to, someone she bumped into.
Oh, I hope it wasn't the Harpers. I've never seen two people who can talk so much and say so little.
Hi, your name is Rose? I'm Sharon Bonds. I'm Karen's closest friend.
Nice to meet you.
Well, I certainly hope that both of you supported the right people and issues today. This country will go to poop if the wrong person wins.
I feel pretty good about my vote.
Really? Who did you vote for, dear?
Well,
Oh, you can tell me. I won't judge you.
I'd really rather not.
I thought it wasn't important to you, Sharon.
Of course it is. And if I still lived in the area to vote, my vote might actually make a difference. But my district never wavers.
Maybe it would if people didn't think like that. Oh, hey, how did it go?
Good. It was easy.
Cool. I'm just chatting with your mom and one of her friends.
Oh, hi, Miss Bonds. Long time.
Oh, look at you. Aren't you just gorgeous?
Agreed.
Richard!
Honey, it's okay. I'm glad you're here. And I'm not going to ask you who you voted for. That's your decision, and you have the right to your own thoughts.
Have I ever told you that you might be my favorite congressman?
Does your favorite congressman get his favorite dinner tonight? I love those sunglasses, by the way. Amazon?
No, I actually bought these at a locally owned boutique. Thank you very much.
Good for you, Mom. Hey, Richard, have you met Rose? She's a new friend.
Oh, yes. Hi, Rose. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Richard, I wanted to ask you a few changes that I'd like to make in our state government.
Here we go. Can't leave the house without getting an earful.
Honey, be nice.
Sharon, I fully support my constituents offering their opinions on issues, but please be respectful of the fact that I am on my personal time exercising my personal right to my personal opinion right now. Feel free to write a letter or send an email. I read all of them very thoroughly, or at least someone does.
Yes, but I don't think that you understand what I'm getting at. I know I can come off as a little, well, pushy at times, and I know a lot of people think that I can be downright rude, but that's because they don't know anything about me, or Robert for that matter. Listen, my husband will kill me if he knows what I told you, so please don't repeat this to anyone, ever. But Robert has a past. He did some questionable things just before we got married.
Didn't we all? Karen used to hit the schnapps like a fly swatter on honey.
Richard, it was a peach bowl party. What was I supposed to drink?
I think this is a little different. See, Robert was, well, arrested several years ago, long before we ever met.
Oh.
And what he did was totally understandable. At least I think so. He had a child with his first wife and a daughter, but they didn't make enough money to keep up with the rent and the bills. They got into a good deal of debt. Anyway, he had just got a paycheck for the week, and it was only $430. The rent was due, groceries were needed to be bought, and his little girl was getting made fun of at school for wearing secondhand clothes that were too small for her. Robert was determined to make their lives better. He had a coworker and asked him to pick up some things for a package for the next date over. Bobby thought it was a little sketchy, so he declined. But then he got desperate. And so this guy finally convinced him to do this run for him. And you obviously know how this ends. He got pulled over. The car was searched. There were some packages that contained, well, huge amounts of drugs. He ended up serving 3 years before getting early parole. But now, no matter why he did it, how long it's been, or what he's done to prove the kind of man that he is, that felony charge will always be on his record.
Karen, you never told me this.
Of course not. Would you have told me something like this?
I suppose not.
But that label means no one will hire him. We can't get a house in a nice neighborhood, and he can't vote no matter where we live. Robert has been out of jail for 5 years. Runs a clean business that I took a loan out for, takes care of his family, and hasn't had so much as a parking ticket since then. But he's still marked as a felon and still can't cast a vote. He's tried to appeal, filed all the paperwork. He's gone to the courthouse, I don't even know how many times at this point, but that strain on his record will just not come out. And I just don't see how that's fair.
I see. Well, this is certainly something to think about. I always liked Robert. I never would have thought of him as a felon.
Right, because he's not who they say he is.
Okay, well, give me some time to do a little research. Maybe I'll propose a bill.
Bills, again with the bills.
I very hope that you do. Hope so very much. I will help in any way that I can.
I'm so sorry, Miss Bonds. We complain all the time about how inconvenient voting is for people, but we don't think about those that just flat out can't vote. If you don't mind me asking, where is his daughter and ex-wife now?
His ex never really got things together and decided the best thing for their daughter was to give us full custody. So Hope lives with us now, and she is a beautiful girl.
Oh, goodness, why didn't I know any of this?
I guess it really has been a long time, hasn't it?
Congressman Carter, I think I might be about to change my major to criminal justice. Any chances of an internship?
Oh, I might know a guy who could pull a few strings. Why don't you think about it for a while, make sure it's what you really want to do, and then get back in touch with me in a few months.
Dad, Richard, you'll be seeing her before then, so you'll have a lot of chances to talk shop together. In fact, I was thinking that maybe we could invite Miss Bonds and Rose over for dinner this week. Rose tells me she makes a mean banana pudding.
I could do that.
We'd love to.
I love banana pudding.
Yes, he does.
Hey, Matt, you forgot your ID.
Oh, thanks. I probably need that whenever I get back in my car.
Oh my goodness, look at this. The whole family is here.
Yes. Why are you still working at the polls? I thought you were doing okay at the restaurant.
Oh, hey, Tia. I am, but I still like to volunteer whenever I can, you know. Fewer and fewer people work each year, and it's up to the younger generation to step up.
Wait, this is your...
Aunt.
Nephew.
Look at that. That is a small world indeed.
But hey, I'm sorry, but I gotta run back to my station now. It was good to see and meet all of you. I'll see you later, Aunt Sharon. See you tomorrow, Matt.
Bye. Well, Matt, looks like you may be bringing a date to dinner this weekend, too.
Maybe. If you promise not to ask too many questions. Oh, hey, Dad, you might want to call your friend, the mayor. I see a yellow piece of paper fluttering on the windshield of your car.
Well, crap. I guess that's what I get.